So I'm editing a thumbnail for IW Games, and he sent me this screenshot that I'm working with, and I'm just gonna do something with it. This is actually a pretty good screenshot. I'm probably gonna go with like a dark purple. So I'm just gonna isolate this real quick, and then I'll go over like some editing techniques. So before I like outline, I like to add a little bit of feather, about like, I don't know, 5 pixels, just so it's not so like choppy. You see that kind of blur around there? You should be able to see that. So I like to use an overlay if you are not confident about like your ability to center the player. This is called rule of thirds, and it kind of just like puts it in different strips to just have it even. In my case, I kind of guessed it perfect again, so I'm not going to use that. And I'll just go over a few quick overlays that I use. So this is just like kind of old film effect that I can use. So just have it so it is like the largest. I'm using Photoshop, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know. I'll just put the rest of these in, but I'll hide them. So if you want it to like kind of go over everything, and obviously I want to have the player in front, then I would have, or I'd go under like this overlay or masking, whatever this is, and you could just select any of these. And I think that, what's gonna look best? I think linear dodge add is pretty good, but you know, you can experiment with them. You could also lower the opacity like that. That also looks pretty good, but I'm not gonna add these until later. I usually do these last. This is just I don't know, I would say particles, but it's like kind of weird. This one you don't really have to do any effects with unless you wanted to. I sometimes do. Yeah, just make sure that the player is like over the overlay, so it kind of just doesn't go over it. It just looks better that way. This is very common. I see this one used a lot. Sometimes I combine this in the black border, one that I'm gonna go over in a sec. This one I'll probably use in this thumbnail. I think that makes it look a lot better. It's just a simple like black fade, works really well. And this is the iconic black border that I got from Mystic Striker. Or he didn't send it to me, but it kind of like inspired me to use it. So in this situation, I have to add the overlay effect, or I guess that one works too, but I use overlay every time basically. And it kind of smoothens out that like edge right there. So yeah, those are overlays. And once you separate the player, sometimes I'll have the player a bit more saturated than the background, or I'll desaturate the background depending on how it is. In this case, I'll probably do like both, so maybe add plus, and I'll just desaturate this a little bit. So I think I'm going to go with like here, you can kind of see how it like limits the colors a little bit, which is my plan because I want to add more purple. And I want it to be like overall purple, so it kind of has like a overlay on like this like regular block. So color balance, let's do magenta and blue. That should look fine. So that's easy background. If you want to make the background like better, you can use any of these blurs. I'd say Gaussian blur is pretty nice sometimes. I don't use it that often. Oop, I forgot a small part right here. This is when you got to use the eraser tool and make sure it is not like 100% smooth, or it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Oh, I'm kind of lagging a little bit from this. Oh well. And for like these corners, just lower the size. Oh, the hardness. Make sure the hardness is not at 100 because it's not going to be as like smooth while erasing. It doesn't have to be perfect because when you're zoomed out, you don't really notice it as much, especially with the player. See? So yeah, Gaussian blur. I don't usually use that for montages or montage thumbnails. I used to use radial blur a lot, which that's what it does. It doesn't really fit my style of thumbnails, but some of you might like it. I'm not going to because people know me for using motion blur. Very common. And in Photoshop, you can change the angle whichever way you want. You can do vertical blur, which I'm gonna do. So I'll do like I usually don't do it perfectly straight, but in the sake of like keeping it basic, I'll do that. And if you want, you can also go to filter gallery. I was about to say. So stripped, oh wait, no, not stripped, my bad, chat. Vertical, and then it kind of has like these lines. I don't always use this, but you can if you want. I would just add a little bit of contrast, and then the intensity, I'll just do that. Let's see how that looks. I'll do less. I'd say just experiment with it depending on just how you think it looks. We'll just do very light. Yeah, there we go. So I always add this effect. It just looks a lot nicer. You can edit it, but I think this already looks pretty nice. Maybe if I add a little bit more depth. Yeah, there we go. So that's pretty fun to mess with. I'd say use that whenever you get the chance to. And keep in mind, although this is a Photoshop tutorial, just make sure you're like noticing what I'm saying so you can transfer these tips over like the best you can, or just remember the steps that I'm doing and then learn how to do those on whatever you're using or what app, software. If you're on PC, I would recommend Photoshop if you have the money or like ability to use it. Otherwise, you can use, I think Photopea is good. Stroke, I usually don't use that. I usually just use inner glow, inner shadow. Since it's a purple theme, I'll keep on inner shadow, but I'm gonna turn on inner glow and I'll make that like a, I don't know, purple. And it doesn't look like too much yet, but then I also add the outer glow. And I just usually do the same thing. Let's make it smaller. Yeah, so just like mess with the settings like that. And I think that looks pretty nice. Drop shadow, you can. I don't really notice it, but I'll put it over anyways. Normally, I would have like text to use, but he didn't give me text, so I'm just gonna put, yo chat, what like simple word should I put in? So in Photoshop, you can like change like the distancing and stuff between them. So I'll just show you guys what 200 spaces out the text a little bit. I usually don't do this, but I think this font would be better if I do like 25. Yeah. And I'm also just picking another purple. I'll just do, you know what? Sometimes I do like a lighter and then I see what the overlay does. So I'm gonna test that. I'll just use linear again. Move it behind the player. Very common thumbnail strategy that I see like everywhere. A theme with my thumbnails, I like to have the player really large because that's like the kind of the center of attention. For drop shadow, if you wanted it to be like less solid or like less like blurry, you could just well, first increase the size. I think its distance like changes like how far off it is from that, and then you can change the angle of which way it goes. So most people just do like down right, and then I think spread, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So spread, this makes it like more solid. So I'll just do that for this one, since mostly y'all like to see this sometimes. And I'll just do like down right. And there's the thumbnail. Really good clip, by the way, Ryan. I can't wait for this one. I can make an editing tutorial on my next montage too, if y'all are interested. So let's just make this like pretty large as possible, just so we have like the best screenshot, like quality. Since this is more like higher FOV, then I can just go in full screen, just so it doesn't have this bar. And I just like to go to random points and look for like where a good pausing point is. Yeah, the quality's kind of low because of Discord. So for now on, if y'all like want someone else to make a thumbnail for you, then just send the clips through Mediafire or YouTube. Ryan, I did think that your recent montage was really good, by the way. Yeah, so save that. Oh, I forgot to show y'all another thing that I was gonna do. So if you want to get rid of the crosshair, you can use this. Wait, no, not that. This spot healing brush tool, and you just rasterize the image. Whoops. Let me do that. So right click, rasterize, and it's rasterized. It works a good amount of the time, but it doesn't always. You just want to do it in 2 different parts. And if it's a little bit like choppy right there, you get the blur tool, and then bam, just good as new. So once again, I'm gonna separate tech from the thumbnail, so I'm just gonna object selection. This is a good screenshot because the like text like box, yeah, so you see how it separates because of like the gray, and it like perfectly separated it. So I'm gonna go select a mask, kind of add some feather, about 5 pixels. You don't really notice it that much until you actually separate it. So I'm gonna definitely saturate him. He's looking kind of depressing. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta slide it around to see what looks nice. I think that makes it kind of fun. I'll just go with that. Why not? So, what's up, Vish? So filter, blur. I think I'll do like a small radial blur. I haven't done this in a while. Okay. So that looks decent. And it looks a little bit off-centered, so I think I'm gonna check my magic overlay, make sure. Yeah, it's a little bit off, so right click or control click both of these, and I usually just hold the arrow. If it's kind of like off, it's okay, you just make the image larger, and then that's fine. And there we go. I'll add like effects to him. Add that. Not as strong. I like to have it like less noticeable. So now I could add like the overlays. And sometimes when I get bored of the same one, I'll rotate it, but I've been doing that for a lot of them, so I'm not going to in this situation. Overlay. Ooh. Don't mind if I do. Not that strong though. Do like, there we go. And this effect, I will probably also, you know what, no, I'm gonna lower the opacity. There we go. And I'll also add the radial blur, but not as strong. Let's do 2. There we go. Actually, this is another thing I do sometimes. I'll pick like a random color. So like, I don't know, yellow. And then I'll see how it looks with these. Like sometimes it goes crazy. Maybe not yellow, because that is very different. Oh, oh. There we go. So I'll just add the extra stuff that I do. Sometimes I just look at it anyway. Sometimes it looks nice, but it's not that common in my opinion. I could add a stroke. I'll see how it looks with it. And sometimes I'll just do like just a darker whatever of that color. And then I'll just like lower the opacity. So if I want to do like crazy like other effects of the text, like I want to like add an arch, or hold on, let me make this just a little bit higher. So in this situation, I'll go under edit, transform. Also, if you don't stop beefing, I'm going to time you both out. Warp. So here's all the options. I've done arc a few times, so you just change, I don't mess with these two, they're kind of duke. I would just mess with bend, and that kind of adds like that effect. So your fisheye, I use a pretty decent amount. Or not fisheye, I think it's inflate. Wait, no, it is fisheye. And sometimes I use it, not that much, so we'll just see what that looks like. 20. It's not always that noticeable. And you can also do negative, which makes it kind of like warp into the player. And then there's also bulge. I've been using this one a pretty decent amount lately. I like it. And yeah, you know, I'll use this, but now I gotta lower the text. There we go. And you know what? The character kind of stands out, so I can also go under hue saturation and drag that over this way. And now it's just a little bit more pink, and now it's more natural. Like some of these are decent, but they just blend with the background. This could be good. I'll try this. Alright. New. Make sure it's 1080p or 4K, but you're gonna have to downscale it anyway, so I just do 1080p. If the text wasn't here too, but I could honestly probably remove this with AI. It's just bugging out. Sometimes the object selection doesn't work well, so you just have to do it manually. Yeah, that should be good. Now, I'm gonna show you a quick little thing that I haven't been doing much recently, but I'm gonna do it in this example because it's pretty perfect. Let me just separate this first. Same thing. Control CV, make sure it's blurry, perfect. So I'm gonna use the same tool and I can get rid of that in the middle. Pretty simple, but not that large. Let's just make that smaller. There we go, now it's gone. If it looks kind of weird in the middle, blur. Blur. It's gone. Okay, here, I'm just gonna use the smoke effect. It's not centered, but I can fix that. Yeah, when it doesn't center, you just click on it and then, not at the top. You can just drag it over, I guess. That's not what I was going to do, but that works. Black border, overlay. Do that every time, trust me. Color dodge. I'm liking it. Add Freddy Fazbear? No. And once again, this dude's looking a little bit different, so change saturation or, oh, not saturation. I don't know why I keep saying saturation. Keep mixing them. Let's change that a little bit more orange. Text. I'll just do his IGN, Draco. And I'll download a font. Go on Duff Font. It's a trash right here. Usually I go under trash. And there's a pretty good, all of these are really good for thumbnails, but I'm gonna check out graffiti. Because I feel like some of these might actually, like this one, I feel like could be really good for Dracos. And, you know, I can add a filter. Green? Sometimes I do green. Alright, cool. Thumbnail number 3. This one's pretty basic, but I don't care. Look at what this kid sent me, bro. What the flare? What the flickety flip? Good combo, but like, what the heck, man? Ryan shows up like, huh? Ooh! Alright, boy, I see you. Another one? Ooh! Oh, I was about to say. So since it's a legacy, people are going to recognize the UI, and they might click more for that. So I'm just going to screenshot the whole thing. Or I could get like a sword swing in there. This is a good one. I'm going to use this, actually. I'm probably just going to keep the UI out. Just because the sword swing isn't there, but... Alright, so now that this is in a different layer, I'm gonna use the AI to like get rid of this at the bottom. So I'll just increase the size of this and then just rasterize the image. I keep forgetting to do that. So look, good as new. Right there too. That crit doesn't really matter, but the sword is kind of pissed me off. Clone stamp tool. This will basically copy the pattern up here, and it'll like draw it over this way. It's pretty nice. So I can actually like really easily duplicate this if I were to just like drag around. I could do a cool like triplet effect. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do a triplet effect. Or I could just do it this way. So I do that. Maybe add some motion blur, like in that direction. Or the opacity, maybe? Or not. But, gotta put this dude in the front. There we go. Everyone's going crazy? Yes, sir. So let's just hide that for now. I'm going to do... I'm just going to see how this looks. I don't do this a lot, but if I invert, it'll make it a white glow. This, I think I could also do the same thing. Invert. And then linear burn. And then I do that. Maybe. I'll show y'all my other program that I use. So we'll just do JSO1, export. Quality of this one doesn't matter. If it's too high, whatever. Nope, it's not. JSO1. So now I'm gonna introduce y'all to Illustrator. But I use Illustrator for like more complicated like text and like art. All right, so new file, 1080p, doesn't matter. Yeah, the menu is pretty similar, but still, you still got some noticeable differences, you know. Add the text. Text is very much easier to work with on Illustrator. So if y'all want to do more like design-based stuff, use Illustrator. If you want to like do more photo editing, then Photoshop. Should sound kind of explanatory, and then you know the name. All right, so now select text. Make the stroke larger, probably make this a little bit less. Okay, that's good. So now I do create outlines, and this will let me rasterize it, or that's basically rasterizing it, same thing, which turns it into like an editable image. So now I can drag around the text, stretch it, whatever. But that's not what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to try and do like a 3D effect that I used to do a lot. And you 3D, extrude and bevel, send you the perfect thumbnail. I will check it out. Whoops. So yeah, it just lets me rotate it. It's pretty nice. I don't use this all the time because it doesn't always work that well, but and I can have it like kind of dip under, kinda. Pretty nice. And then I can add like the outer glow that I did with the other one. And there you go. That's the thumbnail tutorial. Let me save this, save on your computer. Just two. Actually, wait. I would separate these, so I just put under Adobe, whatever, wherever you save that. Export as, same thing in this program. JSO2. Thumbnails. There you go. Let me know which one is your favorite. Me personally, it's rather bottom left or top right. And bottom left I like, but I think the text for the top right one is just too good. Because I love purple, man. But anyways, thank you for watching the tutorial. I will probably turn this stream into a video because this was very fun to make. And maybe, you know, if the video does well, video editing tutorial, montage tutorial, possibly.